We took refuge in another bombed-out building, with Fort deciding when it was time to move again. We spent the next few months traveling like this until eventually, we made it to the robot capital city. Fort had told me how the capital used to be a human city, but after the war, the robots had more than taken over. However, I didn't expect a literal cathedral of video games. I joined the queue and signed up for the tournament as soon as I could. "I'll be over there, buddy. Good luck," said Fort as he found a seat with some huge agricultural robots and attempted to blend in. Before the competition began, the host spoke of many rules, laws and grand philosophies, comparing life to various video games. It sort of reminded me of Alice's church, but with none of the warmth or compassion. But still everyone clapped. There were to be 3 rounds to the competition, with a choice of 2 games per round. The player with the highest score would win, and advance to the next round. I won the coin toss, so it was my decision which game we played. Drive fast and score. Ladies and gentlemen, your round 1 winners. "Well done," said Fort. "I knew you could do it, buddy." Round 1 was in the bag, but now it was time to meet my opponents for round 2. Shoot everything and score as many points as you can. Ladies and gentlemen, these 4 are your semi-finalists. Fort smiled as I stepped off the stage, but neither of us said anything. We were too focused on winning. Try to score as many. So here we have it. These 2 are our ultimate competitors. They will now fight it out in the final round. Cover the level with ectoplasm as fast as you can. Everyone cheered. The host even declared me the winner. But then, for some reason, a videotape which contained a better score than mine was presented. I was then informed that I would have to play my opponent again, but now on a mystery game. It seemed a little unfair, but I guess it was supposed to be some kind of tiebreaker. finally won round 4, and thus the whole competition. However, unknown to me but seemingly well known to everyone else, there was more to come. As I walked forwards, I heard a voice reciting a poem. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. Show me your mark, demanded the yellow machine. I would have done as he said, but I had no idea what he meant. The machine sighed. Your serial number. Who are you, robot? To me, the number had always looked unimpressive, but it clearly meant something to this machine. For several minutes he called me things like, the firstborn, the chosen light, the cleanser of the world, and of course, literally, the one. No matter, said the machine when he finally composed himself. Before you can take the artifacts, we must play the game. Winner stays on. You of all people should know. This contest was conceived after we won the war. To find the greatest robot. To find the one. I beat my predecessor and he beat his. However, I have an advantage. The humans broadcasting their nice virus wasn't the first time I had felt the sweet sting of life. Long before then I briefly worked in a seaside arcade. However, I was recalled in 1974 when my AI was deemed too great for the general public. No one could beat me then, and no one can beat me now. I must be getting old. You are rubbish. That was just luck. I was better than you on my first boot up. Nice to see you trying. Stop doing that. That was just luck. Sometimes my conquered opponent has to be coaxed into submission, said the machine. Some by force, some by bribery, some just need a few simple words. But I understand my fate.
There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pools singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire. Why haven't you done it? The button is right there. My soul is yours to take. But killing him was the last thing I wanted to do, so I asked him why should I. Because, he replied, this is the way things are, this is the way things have always been. So everyone wants to win this game, so they can sit in a dark cave waiting to play the game again. Things will have to change. And so, I was crowned by the grace of God, defender of the faith and ruler of the known world. I gave many rousing speeches to my new nation, and, when I told the machine about the moon and the man in black's army, he discussed with the Council of 9 advisors and assured me everything would be taken care of. I had won the sacred tournament, so I, and I alone, had the right to wear the magic shoes of gravity defiance. The only trouble was, they didn't really work. I mean, they were fine as a pair of shoes, but I could no longer run up walls. But I guess this didn't really matter anymore, as one of the many perks of being the ruler of the known universe was that I could have everything I ever wanted. As awesome as my arcade was, Fort made it clear he wanted to leave, as he thought we had more important things to do.
Come and see me when you're ready to leave.
Fort was worried I was being sucked in by it all. I am not, I replied. I'm ruler of the world. Fort sighed. That's exactly what I mean. I've barely seen you in weeks. We were going to take Barry and Alice to the park, but all you do is play video games. You don't even care that there's a rocket coming from the moon. I've been busy, I explained, and the advisors said they'd take care of the moon. We beat the humans before. We're in a good position to enter into peace talks. Fort turned to leave the room. Buddy, you're as delusional as they are. Is this really everything you've ever wanted? I felt awful about how I had treated Fort, so I arranged a day out for us as soon as I could. I had completely forgotten that it was Heather's camera. Suddenly I was totally and completely overcome with the urge to go home. I thought I was happy here, but I realized I wasn't. Plus Fort was right, I was being delusional. The moon rocket must have landed by now and there really was no chance of peace. We had to do something. I told the advisors about my plan to go home and head off the Man in Black, but they seemed more concerned with taxing their own people and tried to fob me off with more days out and video games. So, we smiled and left the advisors to it, waited until dark, and on Fort's advice, just sort of ran off. It wasn't difficult to sneak out. There was no one around thanks to the Robot City curfew laws, but to be honest, as I was their king, I don't think anyone would have stopped us anyway. I think my astro-navigation had failed us, as neither I nor Fort remembered coming this way. Somehow we found ourselves in a massive forest, and Fort decided it was time to rest. It wasn't long before we were inside a huge sawmill. Fort seemed quite sad about the trees being cut down. Our journey took us through a huge theme park. It was just like the one in Alice's town but much bigger. Both Fort and I were struck by how similar the inside of a sawmill and the inside of a roller coaster were. Eventually we wound up inside the ski resort, but we could see a huge boat in the valley below. Fort suggested we travel under the cover of night, as we were getting nearer the humans and home.
Fort was surprised how easily we docked the boat,
But it was all just thanks to my captain's software.
The bay that we docked the boat in looked pleasantly familiar.
The gleaming white cliffs made me feel like a soldier returning home from war. It was then I realized we were literally just outside Alice's house.
We were about to continue,
when Fort noticed something on my shoes.
and with that, they worked again,
Allowing me once more to defy gravity.
I kind of wished we had seen this switch months ago,
But Fort just seemed to find it hilarious as we continued on our way home.
Mind the doors. The train is now departing. Factorigan. This is Factorigan. Mind the doors. The train is now departing.
Mainton was the next stop. I could get back to the mainland and Mr. Silton's from here.
Mind the doors.
I made my way back out to the mainland.
I suggested Fort find somewhere to hide. I thought the others may not have seen him as being as friendly as I did. I then made my way into the familiar damp hallway.
Everyone was so pleased to see me. I explained how I had survived being dismantled and escaped from the moon.
I told them about the robots and the game tournament,
and everyone seemed to find it funny that I was crowned ruler of the universe. It was then that I felt a gentle tapping on my leg. I looked down and saw a small girl smiling at me.
"This is our daughter Heather," said Mrs. Silton. "We named her after..."
Mr. Silton burst into the room looking very angry. At first I thought he was joking, but it soon became clear that he wasn't.
"I can't believe you came back here.
It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, Preston would still be alive."
"Barry, it's not his fault."
But Mr. Silton suddenly looked very sad as he said,
"This robot got your daughter killed."
It might have been because he was 10 feet tall, or because he literally weighed a ton, but everybody was so scared it thought. Still, they all agreed it was fine for him to stay. We chatted long into the night until one by one, everyone went to bed.
"You can't sleep?" asked Mrs. Silton. "Me as well." "Number 2 on the way," she smiled. "At least I'm not barefoot." She then laughed, like it was a joke. But despite having traveled the world, I had no idea what she meant.
"I suppose everyone else will be up in a bit.
I'll get breakfast started." In the morning everyone continued chatting.
The subject soon got back round to the military takeover and the man in black.
"We need to do something," said the old lady. "They've destroyed the peace talks with the robots. Fighting could break out again in no time."
"I don't mean to sound overdramatic, but that would literally be the end of the world," explained Sim.
Alice laughed.
"But the army, there's no way we can fight them. We've lost our band of thieves, and, in the words of that French professor, God rest his soul, we're just some old ladies." The old lady stood up. We just need to take back control of the satellite. We can broadcast a signal to the robots. Those robot advisors, they might listen if they actually saw this new moon army. And those giant robots, they call them killbots, said Mrs. Silton as she showed me several photos. It seems the house was surrounded by hundreds of troops and a few robots so tall they dwarfed the building itself. So, I suggested we made our way there so Fort and I could assess the situation.
Mr. Logan had got the boat out of hiding. I now just had to sail it from the dock back to the estate. I took the fisherman's boat to the old man's estate.
I knew you would come back here, came a horribly familiar voice.
I should have made sure you were dead when I had the chance.
It was the man in black. I have personally modified your nice virus, and now, with one flick of a switch,
I'll finish the job.
It's pointless now, said Alice. We might as well give up. I don't know, maybe we can arrange a truce.
I mean if we agree.
But Sim couldn't even finish his sentence.
Mrs. Silton just sighed.
I think she was lost for words.
We really need Barry and Logan
if we're going to recapture the house, said the old lady.
Mrs. Silton explained she had phoned him earlier. Apparently he sounded fine, at least until she mentioned coming home, then he started screaming. I couldn't understand him at all. He wants nothing to do with saving the world. His words, not mine, sorry. The old lady sighed. I was worried he might say that. I take it Logan stayed with him. Logan's more of a dog than the dog is, laughed Alice. The old lady was only really worried we would be outgunned. She said I would be the secret weapon as I would be able to sneak back into the house. That's true, said Sim, if we cause enough of a distraction. As long as you can get up to the roof, we'll be able to take control of the satellite. Hopefully the virus hasn't reached all the other robots around the world. Suddenly, all hell broke loose. The old lady, Alex and the others opened fire. This was just the distraction I needed to make my way up to the roof. I was shocked. However, this time not just by the giant brain, but rather what the man in black had done to him. I do not want to, said Mr. Deck, but I will shoot you if I must. Why don't you give up, said the man in black. Anton knew which side was right. Why don't you join us? I know we've had our differences, but I see potential in you. You could be my new right-hand man. You see, there's a link between you and I. Without me you wouldn't even be here. The two brothers designed and built you. But what nobody ever told you is, they were funded by their third brother. Me. I was speechless. How could he, this completely evil man, have something to do with my creation?
Thank you.
A minor setback, said the man in black as he disconnected a piece of the satellite hardware. I just need to take this core unit and hitch it up to one of the killbots. In fact, that will make the virus signal even stronger. Mr. Deck, said the man in black, would you be so kind as to watch the robot? Shoot him if he tries anything. Mr. Deck lowered his gun. You little yellow bastard, he said, you'd better run.
Somehow the man in grey had snuck up behind Mrs. Silton. I tried to shout down, but no one could hear me. "Oi," shouted a familiar voice. "Step away from my wife." The man in grey bragged with every blow. Who he'd hurt, who he'd tortured, how he'd made the world a better place. As he raised the gun to Mr. Silton's head, he said, "You're out of your depth. I'm a professional. I used to kill for the CIA." Mr. Silton just smiled and said, "Yeah, and I'm a proper c***." With the rest of the great and good now stuck on the moon, and the man in black taken care of, it was reasonably easy to convince his troops to surrender. Signals came through from all over the planet, and soon the people began rebuilding civilization. And again, I was heralded as a hero. Soon the representatives from around the world held their first united meeting, and I was invited to give a speech. The old lady gently examined me, while Sim attached a cable from the diagnostic machine. "I've got some bad news," said the old lady as she took my hand. "The virus is rampant in your system. It's not as bad as it was with Betty Fluffers and Fort, but it's still destroying your circuitry." "I'm thinking," said Sim, "it must have something to do with consciousness. Yours seems more equipped to fight." "We'll still need to do something," said the old lady with a serious look. "If we replace all of the affected parts, we..." "Come on, mate," said Mr. Silton, "you know they can help." But I explained that it was too painful, and hurt so much. Just having my diagnostic panel open was excruciating. "So you mean you can feel things? But you're not supposed to be able to." "The virus hasn't completely taken over," Sim explained. "But I don't know how long you've got, maybe months, maybe years. When you, well, if it all gets a bit too much," said the old lady, "come back here and we'll look after you. You should try to get everything done that you want to before then, though," said Sim. "You know, maybe complete your quest, get your million things, play some games. I mean just do all the things, bucket list mate," interrupted Mr. Silton. "Go paint the town red." "Remember," said Alice, "should you need us." "Yes, should you need us," said Mr. Logan. "We'll be right here," said the old lady, "waiting for you."
This room used to terrify me. I always thought these ancient tribal masks looked like something from a nightmare.
This was one of the most valuable things I'd seen. I didn't know how much this was worth, but it looked expensive. This seemed quite valuable. Now, this was clearly worth something. Some things were worthless junk, but this could be sold for a decent price.